Banjo and from our studios here on the MDI Road. This is the news, and in our top stories tonight, President Barrow reiterates his government's resolve to improving the living standards of Gambians as he addresses mass meetings in Jokado and Lower Badibu. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure presides over the launch of a strategic document for the protection of children and women empowerment. Over 100 holiday makers arrive in the Gambia as the tourist season swings into gear. To other news, Rebuilding a Nation, Ethiopia's risk management agency, says the humanitarian situation in the Tigray region significantly improving. And a search for Zimbabwe's trapped miners called off amid concerns over safety issues. Many more coming ahead in the news tonight. With me, Fatu Elika Miloshi. Many thanks for joining us. Hello there, it's good to have you with us. Now we begin with the presidency. As the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, told the people of Jokado and Lower Badibu that his government is committed to addressing their development needs and improve their living standards. President Barrow gave the assurances during meetings in Kerjor and Kermambori on day 2 of his Meet the People's tour. The Gambian leader also revealed that his government will put an end to the country's electricity problems by 2025, when the whole Gambia will have electricity. Modest Jallo is traveling with the President and delegation, and he files in this report.
On day 2 of his Meet the People's tour, His Excellency President Adama Barrow drove about 3 kilometers up the North Bank Highway to Keringo village in the Kerjaga ward of the Jokado district. For his first meeting on Tuesday, the presidential delegation arrived at the meeting venue for a rousing welcome from the people of Jokado. This is historic, as it is the first meeting of a sitting head of state in the village. The Alcalo of Keringur, Alassane John, could not hide his feeling of welcoming the head of state to his village. Various speakers informed the president about their developmental needs. Among them, the youth representative Usman Jallo, who urged the government to empower the youths of Jokado. Jallo also appealed for the construction of a mini stadium and a wrestling arena for the promotion of the traditional sport, which is popular in the area. Awagay, who made history by winning the Kergerga councillor seat in the recently held by-election, becoming the first woman to be voted on the ticket of President Barrow's newly formed National People's Party, appealed for better health facilities in Jokado, citing difficulties women encounter accessing health facilities. The National Assembly member Honorable Salif Jaw and the Chief of Jokado, Alpha Mariam Khan, both assured President Barrow of the people of Jokado's full support for his development agenda. They, however, appealed for the construction of the area's spur road network. Responding to earlier demands of the people of Jokado, Health Minister Dr. Ahmadou Lamin Samate said the Kuntaya Health Center will be upgraded, whilst plans are underway to build 2 new health centers in the area. Dr. Samate also revealed that soon his ministry will introduce a community ambulance service, which will significantly address the challenges of accessing healthcare services in many parts of the country. Tourism Minister Ahmad Ba thanked the people of Jokado for their support to the Barrow government, which he said is working hard to improve the living standards of Gambians, citing the government's COVID-19 response and relief packages as an example to alleviate the suffering of the people during the pandemic. Ba also dispelled claims that the government intends to register foreigners for the 2021 elections, describing it as unfounded, but he warns that no eligible Gambian will be denied registration.
bu fekkee ne ne nga doomi réew yi ne Amérique Gambien yi nekk Angleterre nga ne doomi Gambia yi nekk Spain nañ leen jox ñu woote suñ doomi yi ne Gambia yi ne Sénégal nga ne ñooñu duñu woote ko teg na ngeen ma déglu bu baax janvier bii ñëw nii dinañ commencé joxe carte fu doomi réew nekk ci aduna bi bu AIC naka ñëwut foofu pour registre la ñëwal jàll réew ma nga ne nga jëw Gambia ñu registre la kenn mënu la ko tere loi bi la ko may ñoom ñu ne diaspora nañ woote xanaa ñu ne Sénégal duñ diaspora.
The Minister of Lands and Regional Governments, Honorable Musa Drame, said several communities in Jokadu are set to enjoy clean drinking water. The Kerngod meeting climaxed with the Gambian leader addressing the gathering. President Barrow recognized the welcome accorded to him before telling the jubilant crowd that their concerns have been noted and action will be taken to address them. Regarding electricity supply, President Barrow said the Gambia's electricity problems will end by 2025, when the whole country will have electricity supply. He also revealed that 50 tractors have been acquired by his government and will soon be in the country for delivery to farmers. His government, according to President Barrow, is focused on development works. The Kerngor meeting will go down in the history of the village, but the show was stolen by young Maria Mandong, a grade 4 pupil of Kerngor Lower Basic School, who composed this poem for the president.
We have seen the schools you built. We have seen the roads you built. We have seen the bridges you built. We have seen the markets you built. We have seen the salaries you increased. We have seen the public support you gave. We have seen everything you have done. When we see you, we see hope. When we hear you, we satisfied. You are our hope, you are our light, and you are our president.
The president wrapped up his Tuesday's engagement with another meeting in Kermambori in the Lower Badibu district, where the Gambian leader was accorded another rousing welcome. The people of Lower Badibu, including Chief Abala Kinte, National Assembly member Alaji Jawara, and Majanko Samusa all assured the president of Lower Badibu's support for the president. President Barrow in his address spoke about his development agenda and promised to address their concerns, including the upgrading of the GRTS Health Center. Several people were also presented to the president, said to be defectors from other political parties, to the president's National People's Party. Momodes Jalo, GRTS News.
The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, Wednesday received in audience the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland, who is in the Gambia for engagements with government and other stakeholders. SG Scotland praised the Gambia's democratic transition process, reassuring that the Commonwealth will continue to closely work with the government to advance the values that bind member countries of the organization. Mamadou Jallo reports.
Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland, arrived at the government guest house in Kerewan for a meeting with the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow. She was accompanied by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, and other foreign ministry officials. She is in the Gambia for high-level engagements with government officials and other stakeholders. Speaking to reporters after the closed-door meeting with President Barrow, Secretary General Scotland gave a positive assessment of the Gambia's transition process following its rejoining of the Commonwealth.
When President Barrow came into office, he made a number of commitments in relation to adhering to the Commonwealth Charter, our values, particularly in relation to changing the Constitution, but also addressing many of the issues which were causing difficulty here in Gambia. And with some great success, we saw the improvement in the economy, the raising of the opportunities for many of the people in Gambia.
She added that the Commonwealth will continue to work closely with government to promote the values of the organization, particularly its support to the advancement of women and children. The delegation left for Banjul, where she is expected to take part in an event organized by the Ministry of Women and Children's Affairs later in the week. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
Staying with the presidency because Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure has presided over the launch of a 5-year strategic document designed by the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Welfare. The document is earmarked for the protection of children and women empowerment. That story was reported by Uminjai.
Gender equality, the protection of children and women empowerment topped the agenda of the 3-day virtual meeting of stakeholders on the 5-year strategic plan of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare. The document is set to contribute to the Ministry's efforts of protecting the rights of children and women empowerment.
Our strategy is based on 6 essential elements. One is people, women, girls, boys, and men. Then the second one is dignity for marginalized and vulnerable groups. Inclusion, with leaving no one behind, slogan. Empowerment, women for equality. Justice, for protecting rights and partnership in programming and implementation.
Stakeholders in this virtual meeting will be reviewing the strategic document, explore means of aligning the document with the National Development Plan, share plans with development partners, and as well forge new partnerships. Kunle Adenei participated in the virtual meeting on behalf of the UN Resident Coordinator. He highlighted UN's commitment in the protection and promotion of children's welfare and commended the Gender Ministry for coming up with such a strategic working document.
This investment plan, reads from 2021 to 2025. It's already an investment plan with the Ministry of Women, Children and Social Welfare, consolidates the work of the ministry and the support of the ministry. It has to execute its mandate anchored on informed decision-making, which will lead to greater coherence in implementation for the women and children of the Gambia. Undoubtedly, the ministry has very challenging tasks ahead. As the strategy is good, as the result it is able to yield. But I'm confident that you will adopt a balanced approach as evidenced by the wide array of thematic areas which we will be discussing in the consultation today and in the next 2 days.
A milestone achievement in the struggle for gender equality and women empowerment in the Gambia, the Vice President informed the virtual conference that the Gambia government places a high premium on children protection and women empowerment. The strategic documents, he stated, will travel far in protecting the most vulnerable population.
This meeting today accords us the opportunity to share and review these plans with our development partners and other stakeholders with a view to identify areas of possible partnership in the next 5 years. This stakeholder meeting is an opportune moment for the ministry in terms of strengthening relationships with existing partners, while at the same time establishing new ones. Being a new ministry with a broad mandate, it is crucial to widen our partnership base while strengthening the existing ones. This is essential if the ministry and its line directorates are to deliver as expected. The formation of this ministry is another way in which the government of the Gambia is putting into action the commitment it made in signing the international conventions which protect the rights of women, children, and people with disabilities.
The Minister for Gender, Children and Social Welfare presented a document on gender equality and women empowerment, outlining that it's a key factor to attaining socio-economic growth.
The Directorate of Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment provides a clear framework for mainstreaming gender entities that are vehicles for gender programming. There's the need for gender policy mandates for the Directorate to specify modality for the harmonization of resource mobilization, dialogue with these partners, and setting mutually agreed benchmarks for achieving results.
Virtual meeting participants took turns to reflect on the presentation. The 3-day meeting is expected to contribute immensely in laying a strong foundation to the work of the ministry in holistically promoting the rights of women and children. Ominjai, GRTS.
This release from the Office of the President, the Office of the Gambia government, spokesperson, making clarification on land grabbing by foreign investors, and it reads, in the wake of widespread reports attributing discriminatory remarks to the local government minister about land grabbing, the Gambia government wishes to allay the fears of diaspora Gambians that the remarks attributed to the Honorable Musa Drame are totally false and grossly exaggerated to potentially smear the image of the minister and the Barrow government. On the contrary, on day one of the presidential tour, Honorable Musa Drame cautioned farmers in Esau, Lower Nyomi District and Lamen Village, Upper Nyomi District to be wary of some foreigners posing as genuine investors who may eventually end up seizing their lands and rendering them landless, as has happened in Zimbabwe and South Africa during colonialism. In fact, Honorable Musa Drame had advised traditional landholders to always liaise with their district chiefs and regional governors to have them work out the modalities of lease agreements lest they fall prey to these dubious merchants. Minister Drame said his ministry was aware of some foreign merchants masquerading as well-meaning investors who would end up buying several acres of land to the detriment of unsuspecting innocent citizens. He reminded them that their lands remain the most precious natural heritage bequeathed to them by their ancestors, and they should therefore always protect and jealously preserve these priceless inheritance to eventually pass on to the future generations. Therefore, the Gambia government wants to make it very clear that neither the local government minister nor the government itself ever made discriminatory remarks towards diaspora Gambians and other ethnic groups or diaspora Africans, as it is being falsely circulated on some networks and gossip columns. The release ends. Now to legislative matters, as the National Assembly Wednesday approved the Appropriation Bill 2021 for government revenue and expenditure amounted to over $22 billion. This follows weeks of debate by deputies to resource allocation for ministries and government institutions. The Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources also appeared before deputies for oral answers. Osman Mana reports.
In weeks of intense debate at the National Assembly, deputies went into Committee of Supply to consider the Appropriation Bill 2021. Significant amendments were made on allocations to various ministries to effectively address priority sectors of the economy. The proposed loan scheme for the National Assembly was put to vote on procedural rule and got approved by 23 against 11.
Head 02, that is the National Assembly, the amount of $246,406,737 stand part of the bill.
This follows the approval of the bill witnessed by the Finance Minister Mamburin Jai, which stood over $22 billion.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. So the ayes have it. So the total appropriation amounts to $234,235,727.
The Fisheries and Water Resources Minister, James Gomez, also appeared before deputies to answer questions on sustainable fisheries agreement between Gambia and the European Union and its benefits to Gambia, which is a 6-year commitment.
In accordance with the agreement, there is what you call access. The access fee goes directly to central government. And then there is an additional €275,000 which comes to the Department of Fisheries to help us build capacity. We have received the first and second year of access, but for capacity building we've received only once. This is because you have to spend 70% of the amount given before you can get the second allotment.
Commenting on inadequacies of accessing water in rural Gambia, including Summit District in CRR, Minister Gomez highlighted projects seeking to address the concerns.
Honorable Speaker, the Climate Smart Rural Waste Development Project would provide solar-powered water supply system to the following communities in Same constituency: Demba, Kali, Fori, Jarumekoto, Jamali, Tafsa, Berek, Bubu, Musa, Reneru Wolof, and Reneru Fula. The implementation of the CAWOS project was delayed by COVID.
Among the questions was government's effort to improve the fisheries industry.
From January to December 2020, of 1,857 Gambian youths have been gainfully employed as either deckhands or observers in the industrial sector. Similarly, the Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources have provided 14 boats in 2020 for use by fishing communities and also for the training of Gambians to become fishermen.
He further encouraged private investment in large-scale fishing for economic gains by Gambians. Sittings continue on Monday. Usman Mane, GRTS.
Now, a flight carrying over 100 tourists has landed at the Banjul International Airport. The flight, which came from the United Kingdom, consists of tourists and UK-based Gambians who are in the country on holiday. Amrita Isanya was with the tourism officials at the Banjul International Airport and filed in this report.
After months of reeling under the pinch of COVID-19 and the closure of the airspace, a plane from UK arrived in the Gambia with over 100 passengers, though the airspace and the tourist season has not been officially announced. Most of the passengers are Gambians based in the UK and other tourists who are here for holiday in the Smiling Coast. Mariam visits the Gambia often, but she spent almost a year in London. She is so excited she got a chance to visit the Gambia.
I feel very excited to be at home and very, very happy and just glad to be back. I expect to be able to go and see my friends, but obviously respect social distancing and acknowledge the fact that there is a massive, unprecedented situation going around the whole world.
Other Gambians based in the UK are so excited to have arrived in the country after being in London since the outbreak of COVID-19. Being home ushered in utmost elation.
I'm really excited, obviously. We've been waiting for so long. Obviously, being a pandemic, being at home, staying, and then finally for the Gambian experience to give us that call to say you can actually fly to Gambia is like winning the lottery. But yeah, so it's really exciting. It's really, really good, and I'm so glad to be here and get some sun because if you know, England is really cold. It's really, really freezing. So I'm glad to be here.
And I'm very excited to be in Gambia after this 8 months since the start of the pandemic, and I'm really surprised to have seen that there is indeed a lot of people on board the first flight to Gambia, and there are a lot of people in England who are waiting for that opportunity to come for holiday. So I'm pretty sure that despite the current situation, it's going to be a very good season for Gambia tourism.
The Gambia Tourism Board officials and health officials have ensured all the precautionary measures are highly adhered to. A negative COVID-19 certificate is possessed by all passengers. Officials told us they are as well expected to observe a 14-day self-isolation.
We are working with GCAA, who is managing this premises. We are also working with the Ministry of Health to make sure that there is an international uniform travel order, meaning that you don't have to travel until you have a test to say that you are negative. Then you go on board the flight with that, and when you arrive here, we know at least you have done the test and you are COVID negative. So all these things are things that, and when they come in here, we take care of them. Taking care of them means you do your booking of the hotel where you want to go, do your bookings, do your things, and yeah, we want to work with them and to make sure that they come safely, they go back safely, and they enjoy their holidays.
It's unprecedented that we'd receive a maiden flight in December. As we all know, it's all as a result of COVID-19, the pandemic. So we're glad that finally traveling confidence is improving. So it's a small start, but then we'll get there. So we provide representation, Discovery Tours provides representation for the Gambia experience. This is the first of the season, not only for us, but the destination as a whole.
Whilst renovation continues at the airport, officials are optimistic that when COVID-19 subsides, a more functional and exciting tourism season should be anticipated for. Reporting for GRTS News, I am Aminata E. Sanyang.
Today's release from the Gambia Port Authority, and it reads, with a view to addressing the issues related to delivery trucks gaining access to the Port of Banjul for cargo operations, all owners of goods delivery trucks are required to submit a list of their vehicles showing proof of ownership and registration number to facilitate the establishment of a database as a first step. The above requirement, according to authorities, should be submitted to the Office of the Managing Director, GPA, no later than Thursday, 17 December 2020. The release ends. Now, moving on, the Gambia Revenue Authority has organized a tax seminar for the Gambia Women Chamber of Commerce at a local hotel in Kololi. Janke Ture attended the day-long program, and she tells us more.
A day-long tax seminar for Gambia Women Chamber of Commerce, organized by the Gambia Revenue Authority. The objective of the training is to educate and sensitize participants on tax policies, revenue laws, and relevant tax administration matters. Alhaji Sehu Dentin, the Director of Finance and Accounting, delved on the significance of the training, which, according to him, is in accordance with GRA stakeholder engagement strategy.
The GRA is cognizant of the fact that engagement with stakeholders like the GWCC can improve tax compliance. In particular, given that all members of the chamber are engaged in some form of economic venture. So therefore, better understanding of tax matters by the members is likely to engender better record keeping, filing, and payment of taxes.
Lucifer Giant is the chairperson of GRA's board. She noted that the conclave is one way of promoting conducive environment for participants to prosper through understanding their responsibilities as prominent business actors.
It therefore gives me great pleasure to be present at this important tax seminar, which is part of GRA's stakeholder engagement strategy. To me, this is one of promoting conducive environment. Kindly take this seminar as an opportunity to engage GRA, challengers, and thus demystify taxation in the Gambia. We are very friendly, we are very open, and we are always here to help you. We want you to walk away with a smile and vow to promote GRA instead of fearing GRA.
The Gambia Women's Chamber of Commerce was launched with the purpose to unleash the economic potentials of women entrepreneurs. Beatrice Mboj, CEO of the organization, harped on the challenges faced as business women, noting the training will be helpful to members.
The new ones, or the ones that are recently registering their businesses, most of them don't have an idea how to register with GRA. So what we've been doing at the Secretariat of the Gambia Women's Chamber of Commerce is to help women through these processes. And they are very glad to do it because we always tell them that when you require facilities, some of the requirements would be to produce a GRA receipt. So if you don't have it, you are losing out. So that is why this seminar is so important for us today, because it would bring us face to face with GRA, and we will be able to ask all the questions that we've been wanting to ask, and we will get all the answers before we leave this room today.
It is expected that at the end of this seminar, participants will have better understanding of the activities surrounding GRA and its tax-related reforms. This, they believe, will improve their business relations with the government and provide them with better opportunities. For the news, I am Janke Ture.
The three-day training for trainers for healthcare workers on COVID-19 clinical case management is currently underway at a local hotel. The training, which is organized by the Ministry of Health with support from African Union and Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention, is meant to broaden the understanding of the participants on monitoring and caring of critically ill COVID-19 patients. The overview of Africa CDC case management activities, among others. Pabasila files in this report.
Established by the African Union to support public health initiatives of member states and strengthen the capacity of their public health institutions to detect, prevent, control, and respond quickly and effectively to disease threats. Since the outbreak of the deadly COVID-19, Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention has been mobilizing funds through the African Union to support member states in the fight against of the virus. The three-day training in the Gambia is part of the Center's commitment to strengthen the capacity, capability, and partnership of Africa's public health institutions to detect and respond quickly and effectively to disease threat and outbreak based on science, policy, and data-driven interventions and programs. The Gambia's former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Marisen, is the representative of the African Union in the Gambia. Madam Sen explained the commitment being shown by the Union to support its member states in the fight against the virus.
This training of healthcare workers on COVID-19 clinical case management is a key component in our efforts to effectively curb and contain the spread of the pandemic in Africa. It is therefore my sincere belief that the training will equip health workers in the Gambia with the necessary information, skills, and uniformity of approach that will strengthen the fight against the pandemic. And this is why I believe we are all here today and for the next 3 days.
Flex Ingbari is the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention representative in the Gambia.
Africa CDC has been working with the African Union member states to strengthen the capacities and the capabilities in order to adequately prepare and respond to the pandemic. When COVID-19 was declared outbreak of international concern, the chairperson of the African Union convened a meeting of all African Union ministers of health, and from that ministerial meeting, an African continental strategy to respond to the COVID-19 was adopted.
The training, which draw about 30 clinical health workers, will create an opportunity for the participants to critically look into COVID-19 virus biology and current knowledge about genetic variation and mutation, management of ventilation of critically ill COVID patients in the context of contagious disease among other related diseases. For GRTS News, I am Baba Silla.
Still on health matters, the Directorate of Health Promotion and Education on Wednesday briefed journalists on tobacco and COVID-19 pandemic. The program brought together journalists from both the print and electronic media to share and discuss on the dangers associated to tobacco smoking and COVID-19. Kadiatu Juara has the details.
The Directorate of Health Promotion and Education on Wednesday briefed journalists on tobacco and COVID-19 pandemic. The program brought together journalists from both the print and electronic media organization to share and discuss on the dangers associated to tobacco smoking and COVID-19. Tobacco smoking is said to be one of the risk factors for severe diseases such as respiratory infections and COVID-19. Speaking at the press briefing, the National Disease Control Program Coordinator, Sana Sambu, said tobacco smokers are vulnerable to COVID-19.
One of the people that COVID actually affects much are people with problems, health problems specifically. And key among those health problems are emanating from tobacco smoking. Not only tobacco, but smoking in general. Because people may smoke other things different from tobacco. But smoking in general, we all know, has serious implications for our own natural immunity. Okay? And we know COVID target people whose immunity has been derailed, whose immunity has been affected. So their immunity has been lowered. So therefore, it exposes them to so many other risks, not only diseases, but so many other factors as well. But as health workers, we are more concerned with diseases and welfare of people.
According to Mr. Sambu, the immune systems of tobacco smokers are sometimes weak to fight harmful diseases such as COVID-19 and other respiratory disorders. He therefore urged journalists to help disseminate the information with their respective media institutions. School Health and Nutrition Unit Fatu Dabo said engaging journalists will significantly promote the fight against COVID-19. She promised her office's continuous collaboration with media to improve the health status of Gambian people. The Senior Program Officer Non-Communicable Diseases Tobacco Control Program at Ministry of Health, Sefo Singate, highlighted some of the dangers of public smoking and its impact on the environment.
So even in the Gambia, through observation, we have seen that this pattern is the same in the country too, because a lot of people smoke during this lockdown period than before. So from March up to now, the smoking pattern of smokers has increased. Evidence shows smokers are more vulnerable to COVID-19. Researches were conducted in different parts of the world, like in Italy, in Germany, even in China, Wuhan, where it started. It all revealed that smokers are more vulnerable to COVID-19 because of their weakened immune system. Tobacco use weakens their immune system. They become more vulnerable. And symptoms are severe in smokers than non-smokers. Because of their immune system, when they can easily contract the virus, and when they contract the virus, symptoms are severe in them. They can suffer from the severest form of symptoms.
Reporting for GRTS News, I am Khadija Tujuara.
To the Upper River region now, where the International Trade Center has handed over 2 tricycles to Pirai Tenda and Waliba in the Tumana constituency. The event was held at the Governor's Bantaba, where members of the 2 communities attended, including the Chief of the District, Governor and other dignitaries. Our regional correspondent, Sedu Kamara, witnessed the handing over ceremony and now reports.
The donation of these tricycles, the communities of Pirai Tenda and Waliba in the Tumana constituency came following a survey by the International Trade Center to ease the burden on the people in accessing health facilities and markets to sell their farm produce. Yasin Gay of the International Trade Center said the gesture is in response to the needs of the people following a request made by the communities a few months ago.
This COVID-19 has disrupted trade and transportation. It has made it very challenging for each community to transport goods and products from the farm to the market. In July, we did a consultation with each of the communities in Perai and Wali, Bakunda, and we were told about the challenges that were faced in each community as a result of the distance from the marketplace. And as a result, the International Trade Center has decided to support both of your communities by handing over these 2 tricycles to boast not only market linkages, but to encourage the efficient supply of produce from the farm to the market.
The Chief of Tumana District, Haji Sumare, thanked the donors for the support and advised the beneficiaries to take proper care of the machines. The Governor of the region, Sambaba, reaffirmed government's commitment in responding to the needs of its citizens.
I am so pleased to yet again witness another handing over ceremony from the International Trade Center to these 2 communities, that is Pirai and Waliba. And I know very well that these tricycles will go a long way in trying to address some of the problems that exist in these 2 villages. As we know, for example, if you look at Pirai, where it is, you will understand that it has what we call, there is a distance between Pirai and the market. There is also a distance between Pirai and also what we call the major health centers. So, and then equally Waliba too is the same. So giving these 2 communities tricycles we'll avail them the opportunity to get to the health centers, particularly with regards to maternity delivery. You will realize that at least it will help us to address some of the challenges that we have in the health sector, particularly with regards to labor and delivery.
Governor Ba further commended the International Trade Center for the support, noting that it will go a long way in addressing the challenges of transportation and the needs of the beneficiary communities.
And having these tricycles will now help them to get their products on time to the market so that the perishable goods will not perish, and at the end of the day it becomes a big what we call losses to the community. So therefore all these things can happen in an atmosphere of peace and stability. If there is no peace and stability, even the farming, the agriculture that we are talking about, what we call the health facility that we will visit, you will not even have the time to think about that. So therefore, the only thing that I want to tell these two communities is to make sure that we nurture peace between ourselves, we nurture peace between villages, we nurture peace in the country. It is only peace that can make us developed.
Alcalos of the two villages, as well as women leaders, all expressed delight and appreciation to the International Trade Center for the kind gesture. Officials call on the villagers to take proper care of the machines for it to serve its intended purposes. Seydou Camara, reporting for GRTS News from Basse Upper River Region.
Well, with that, we go for a short break and we'll be back with news beyond our borders. Do stay. Welcome back. Now, Ethiopia National Disaster Risk Management Commission says the management situation in the north of the country is significantly improving. Authorities say the much-needed assistance is being delivered consistently to the affected. The UN still estimates thousands of people still remain in a dire need of assistance. Here is CGTN's Giram Challa for more.
Situation in Tigray. Currently, we are able to dispatch non-food and food items to deliver for more than 250,000 people in the region. So most of the commodities have already reached major sites in the region. We deploy around 8 coordination teams, which are drawn from a member of the National Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Committee to coordinate and facilitate the delivery of the food and non-food items to the needy one.
The government of Ethiopia says its collaborative effort with the UN is already showing results.
Key members of the cluster are represented.
And we leave it at that. But before then, a quick look at the day's top stories once again. President Barrow has reiterated his government's resolve to improving the living standards of Gambians as he addresses mass meetings in Jokadu and Lower Badibu. Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure has presided over the launch of a strategic document for the protection of children and women empowerment. Over 100 holidaymakers have arrived in the Gambia as the tourist season swings into gear. To other news, Rebuilding a Nation, Ethiopia's risk management agency, has said that the humanitarian situation in the Tigray region significantly improving, and search for Zimbabwe's trapped miners called off amid concerns over safety issues. That's all from me, Fateli Kamloshi, and the entire news team. Thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of our programs. Good evening.